And I would try to tie this into the fact that probably as many as a dozen of Trump's political enemies have come under investigation by the FBI and the Justice Department in this administration. So, you know, they'll be pounding the theme that Trump said he would be the retribution president, and all indications are that that's exactly what's happening.
Continuing our coverage of the FBI's shocking and ominous raid against top Trump critic John Bolton, it's so bad that even some Fox News hosts and contributors are visibly concerned and openly questioning whether this was merely a ploy to exact revenge against Bolton by Donald Trump, the weaponization of Trump's Justice Department against his enemies. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, we're going to play this clip. It is very long. I should tell you, this is not the totality of Fox. A lot of Fox hosts are openly gleeful about this, but I want you to hear that some prominent hosts and legal contributors are concerned that this is Trump seeking retribution.
Spun live in Washington. David, thank you.
That's one way to say no comment.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring in our panel. Shannon Bream is the anchor of Fox News Sunday. Chris Swecker is a former assistant FBI director. And Jonathan Turley is a George Washington University professor and a Fox News contributor. Shannon, thank you so much for being here. And you're here on set with us, so it's great to have you. One of the things I think is interesting for people to understand is just how this works. It's not like the White House says, okay, go raid his home, or even the FBI says, go raid his home. This has to go through a process. There had to have been a judge that said there was a reason for them to go in.
Yeah, that's how this works. You've got to actually go through all of these due process and protective legal framework that is in place. And so a judge would have had to look at this. There has to be a warrant in place, and there would have to be some probable cause for moving forward and looking for whatever is outlined in that warrant, documents and other things that they may stumble upon while they're there. You know, we have these protections for a reason, and you want people to have confidence in what our agencies are doing when they carry these things out, that they have been vetted. And something that's happening at this level, you would know would have to involve the top levels of the FBI and DOJ. Leaders would not be unaware. They would be very involved in this warrant process and getting things to where they are this morning.
So I just want to stop right there. So that was Shannon Bream, host of Fox News Sunday. And again, Dana Perino is one of the hosts here, and Shannon Bream, Fox News host, Sunday host. You know, they're trying to almost soft pedal this initially. You'll see the pushback here in a minute, and actually from a surprising source. But I want to remind you that the warrants and the due process and the diligence, that was all there at the Mar-a-Lago raid against Donald Trump that these same people bitched about. So again, they're unprincipled, hypocritical losers. When people said, well, there was a judge who signed off on it, there was a search warrant, that didn't matter to them. Apparently, they're trying to make it matter here. But you're about to hear and see some pushback from Fox News contributors and legal analysts.
Chris, we'll bring you in. If those federal agents do find anything incriminating inside of that house, how soon would any of that go public? Would we have to wait for some sort of a criminal filing, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, behind every search warrant, a federal search warrant, is an affidavit that spells out facts that really provide probable cause for two things. One, that evidence that a crime has been committed, and there's evidence in a specific location that you want to search. So that affidavit should be unsealed. It's sealed right now. When that affidavit is unsealed, then we'll see what the facts are that support this affidavit. But I will say, you know, I've consulted with several of my colleagues. We were the leadership team just before Comey. And we're looking at this a little bit skeptically because we were very heavily critical of the Mar-a-Lago raid. And just because you have the authority and the discretion to do something like this doesn't mean you should.
Brilliant. Well said. I mean, so again, you hear this guy, and he's obviously, again, sympathetic towards right-wing MAGA narratives that the Biden Justice Department was weaponized against Trump. I would argue that they bent over backwards to avoid prosecuting Trump. They are actually political in the opposite direction. But even he's saying, hey, listen, I'm with Trump. I thought the Justice Department under Biden was weaponized against him. And that's why I'm like, this sure sounds like the very sort of thing we were complaining about. And good on him for mentioning all the stuff that you guys were talking about. Like, you know, I mean, this was by the books. There's like, you know, the authority to do it. They dotted their I's and crossed their T's. That was all there for the Mar-a-Lago case, and we complained about it, so we shouldn't be unprincipled, hypocritical losers.
So we're waiting. You know, we just don't want to see the FBI weaponized for the other side, if you will, just turning the playbook over. So we're anxiously awaiting the unsealing of that affidavit, because I believe it will be what we call a speaking affidavit, which will really lay out pretty much of the case, at least supporting the search warrant, and probably a little bit more.
Jonathan Turley, we haven't heard your thoughts yet this morning. Anxious to hear your initial thinking on this.
So Jonathan Turley, as a reminder, is one of Fox News' favorite legal analysts. Again, he's a law professor. This is a guy who has never met, he's just a hack in the worst possible way. He's never met a right-wing talking point that, he doesn't endorse in one way, shape, or form. Now, he's had moments where he doesn't go the full Monty, and it's come to bite the Republicans back in the ass. And this is actually one of those moments, too, where even this guy, look at his Twitter, look at his blog, look at his Fox News appearances. This dude is like, if you want to bet reliably on something, bet that Jonathan Turley will back whatever Trump's position. If you're a betting person, if you do that, you're going to win far more often than not. But even Turley is skeptical.
Well, I think that's a very good point. There's a great concern about whether this is retaliation against a political opponent. We just don't know because we haven't seen the warrant. We haven't seen the affidavit. We do know that there's been a long-standing disagreement, as David Spunt noted, going back to Bolton's book. And it does not appear that that disagreement was ever truly resolved, at least from media accounts. But that was years ago. The question is, why now and what has happened? And we'll know that better, I think, sooner than later. Keep in mind, Bolton himself can reveal what was taken and what was explained to him in the documents that he was given. So some of this information may come from his side. Now, for Bolton's counsel, you have to move very quickly here. I'm a defense attorney by training, and we're on the other side of these warrants. When you have someone like Bolton, you want to move quickly to say that you're going to need two teams here. We have privileged information. We may have protected information under the Constitution. And we want to make sure that you minimize the intrusion into areas that could compromise clients or are unrelated.
And we don't know if that's happened. I don't know how discreet and surgical the FBI were in their raid of Bolton. I want to play you a couple more clips. These are considerably shorter. And this one's actually a follow-up with Andy McCarthy.
And I think what I would be saying if I were Bolton's lawyers, rather than dealing with the particulars of the case against him, I would go back over the ancient history that I described a little earlier, and I would try to tie this into the fact that probably as many as a dozen of Trump's political enemies have come under investigation by the FBI and the Justice Department in this administration. So, they'll be pounding the theme that Trump said he would be the retribution president, and all indications are that that's exactly what's happening. And
so again, you have McCarthy coming out and saying, yeah, this sure seems like political retribution. This is Donald Trump seeking revenge. And John Bolton is not the first of them, is just not the first of them, just one of many. It's pretty ominous. I've got one last clip of Bolton, of Andy McCarthy here talking to Dana Perino and the others.
But I must say, I think that we saw with President Trump, I was hoping that his administration wouldn't practice the things that were practiced on him. But a big part of lawfare is to harass people with investigations. So even if there are never any charges, there's already been a search warrant. There's obviously a criminal investigation that's underway. There'll probably be a grand jury component of it. And even if there's no charges, this will be a very big deal for Bolton personally in the coming months and maybe even years.
Yeah, folks, so there you have it. Even right-wing MAGA legal contributors, Fox News hosts and contributors are deeply skeptical about this. Again, I want to be clear, this does not represent the views of Fox News in totality. There are already clips of Fox News hosts just salivating over the prospect of Trump screwing over his political opponents. But I think it says something that Andy McCarthy and Jonathan Turley and that other guy whose name escapes me are all like, this doesn't look good. This sure looks like weaponization of the legal system and the Justice Department against Trump's enemies. So when you lose MAGA Fox News lawyers and MAGA Fox News hosts, at least some of them, you've lost the fucking plot. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.